Welcome back to Pace Immigration, paceimmigration.com, talking with immigration lawyer Michael O'Rourke. Michael, how's it going?
Great, John. How are you?
Great. Good to see you. We're talking today about the travel rules to the USA, which always seem to be in flux. People don't really know what's going on. And today we're going to concentrate on foreign travelers who have been banned from the United States over the last year to 18 months. A bulletin that you sent me from the American Immigration Lawyers Association shows that things are changing yet again. We've got here Biden administration plans to rescind COVID-19 travel bans and instead require proof of vaccination. Michael, who are these formerly banned travelers and what's going on now?
Sure. Potentially formerly banned, yet still currently banned. These travelers are from a number of jurisdictions around the world: China, Iran, the Schengen zone, which does include Switzerland, the UK, Ireland, Brazil, South Africa, and the latest banned nation was India. So these travelers who have either been in the jurisdiction within 14 days or even transited on a flight through one of those jurisdictions attract this travel ban.
All right. And now the Biden administration is talking about changing that from an outright ban to more of a concentration on vaccination. I've got here foreign travelers. We should specify we're talking about the foreign travelers from those banned countries. Take us through some of these points, Michael.
Sure. So from the banned countries, these travelers will have to show that they are fully vaccinated. And in the U.S. context, fully vaccinated means either 2 shots of Pfizer-BioNTech, 2 shots of Moderna, or 1 shot of Janssen/Johnson & Johnson. They have to have had a negative COVID test taken within 3 days of flying, and that means 3 days of boarding the flight, or the boarding time of the flight if the flight is delayed. But the negative COVID test can either be a PCR test, a NAT test, a LAMP test, or a rapid antigen test. So there's some flexibility in the testing. It just must always be a viral test. And then the CDC contract tracing order has become basically an attestation about lack of symptoms and proof that you actually have been vaccinated and that you have a negative COVID test. So this is a single pager that you fill out and you give to the airline as you're checking into your flight.
Okay. I just want to specify too, in case there might be some American citizens watching going, wait a minute, what's all this about? Unvaccinated U.S. citizen travelers, those rules don't necessarily apply. Instead, we have this. Take us through some of this.
Sure. So an unvaccinated or not yet fully vaccinated U.S. traveler will have to have a negative test result taken within 1 day of their departure. Because PCR tests can usually take 48 hours, sometimes even longer, this will effectively mean that it'll be a rapid antigen test or a rapid PCR test that they have to take within 24 hours of boarding their flight. Although the U.S. does say within 1 day instead of keeping to an hour regimen, because it does provide for some more flexibility. After that, once they arrive in the U.S., they'll still have to do either a home-based test or a rapid test to show that they didn't catch COVID along the way.
One thing we should cover too is when all this is going to happen. I noticed that in the bulletin that was sent out, it just says early November. So that's still kind of up in the air, isn't it?
Yes, it is. We haven't seen rules yet. Early November is as good as it has gotten. For the land borders, CBP, which is the Custom and Border Protection, and which is part of Department of Homeland Security, has re-upped the land border closure between Canada and the US, and that's now going through October 21st. So I expect that we're going to see one integrated rule sometime after October 21st.
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth. I've got one of the points here. What about the land border? It's been kind of a crazy thing, to put it mildly, because I've had people ask me, because I talk to people like you all the time. So they say, hey, what are the new rules and what's the land border versus air travel. Air travel's been pretty much open between Canada and the U.S. It's the land border that's been stuck.
Right, that's true. So to give you an idea, Sean, the regular air travel regime right now is a test within 3 days, and it can be any one of those tests that we'd mentioned before, PCR, rapid antigen, as long as it's viral. But there's no other requirement to enter the U.S. other than typical requirements that you have to have a passport, can't be inadmissible, et cetera, et cetera. But there has been effectively no curb on entry from Canada or Mexico from the air, but land borders have required an essential purpose to come into the United States. So Canadians or Mexicans traveling over the land border have been turned away in droves because they're not either coming for work or study or providing essential services to the U.S. And even Canadian spouses of U.S. citizens have been turned away because of these things. So
Right.
Land border travel is still very tricky.
Right. We covered which vaccines are recognized. One question we haven't touched on here, what about children? Because 12 and under unvaccinated, where do they fall?
So they fall into the default U.S. travel rules for air travel. So anybody 2 years of age or older must show a negative COVID test within 3 days. And realizing that they can't be vaccinated, I suspect that children from the banned travel areas, or soon to be formerly banned travel areas, will still fall into the default where they need a COVID test within 3 days.
Okay, and what about visa considerations? I know there's been a lot of talk about this, especially out of India, people that need to get to the United States to satisfy maybe visa requirements, or they have a visa and they want to put it to use, or they're not getting a visa because of these rules. Where are these people falling?
Oh, that's like the $64 billion question, Sean. It's let's unpack it a little bit. So
Okay.
if you've already got a visa, if you are in a travel banned area, you need something called a national interest exception to overcome the ban.
Okay.
And these are usually granted by your local U.S. consulate. They can sometimes be difficult to get because there are a whole series of criteria about what is in the national interest for granting this waiver from the travel ban. But other times they are, well, maybe arbitrarily decided or denied. They nonetheless take more resources and more time to get people with valid visas into the United States. So hopefully this change in the U.S. travel ban policy and U.S. travel policy will wipe out the need for national interest exceptions, and people will be able to travel on already issued visas. Obtaining a visa is another question. U.S. State Department and our embassies around the world have been backlogged and hamstrung by local operating requirements, and we just are seeing huge backlogs around the world. So getting a visa to come into the United States is very difficult at this moment.
But not impossible. And if people do need help with any of this, they can reach you here. Is that right?
Yes, definitely. We're doing it every day. It is something that we've all become experts on. It's like the arcane, which visa post can I actually get to work? But yes, if anybody needs help, we're always here, and we're always glad to look at the case, give you our honest opinion, and figure out a strategy that we hope will work to get you into the United States.
Excellent. Thank you, Michael. You can reach Michael at mo'rourke@pacelawfirm.com, and we'll probably be updating this again in November, and we'll see where we're at then. But for now, you can reach him with any of your immigration needs. Thanks, Michael.
Thanks so much, Sean. Take care.